Welcome to Unit 1, Theme 4, Zooming in on Problem Solving. The learning outcomes for this theme are to identify the features pertaining to problem solving and to construct reasons that motivate the creative problem-solving approach in the classroom. Our reading today comes from Chapter 4 of PM1. As we look at the important features of problem solving, we need to remember that real people face real problems in their daily lives every day. But most of the time, we probably don't even realize that we're dealing with problems because they're things that are minor and we don't think about a lot. We just get on with it and keep going. But when we're teaching children problem solving, we want to actively engage the children with the problem solving process. So as a teacher, you have to make sure that what you're doing in the classroom is really effective. To do this, you need to remember 3 important features of problem solving that people face in their daily lives. When people are trying to solve a real life problem, they know why they are trying to solve it. When people are faced with a real life problem, they often do not have all the knowledge and or skills to solve it. So this generates a need to learn something new. The awesome thing here is it actually builds in the motivation. The third factor is that real life problems rarely have only one solution. And often they may not even have a best solution. Such problems are said to be ill-defined. As a teacher, it may be difficult to step out of our comfort zones and then pose problems to our children that are real problems, that are ill-defined. But if we want our children to learn real problem-solving skills and learn how to solve real problems, then we actually need to use those ill-defined problems. The only difficulty there is that these do carry a certain amount of uncertainty. This is very different from many classroom situations in which learners are presented with some new information or examples, and then they're asked to solve a problem to show that they have understood this information. Those are more exercises than they are problems. To be told how to solve a problem immediately reduces it to an exercise. We've got to be very careful of that. Exercises that require learners to simply apply standard procedures can be really useful to reinforce their knowledge and their understanding, but they actually don't fit the definition of a problem the way we are focusing on it in this unit. Real problems usually have the following characteristics. They are substantial rather than trivial. They describe a specific and realistic goal that is to be reached. There is some major obstacle that prevents the goal from being achieved readily. And children are actually more motivated to find a solution to these problems. Before we go much further, we need to differentiate between teaching problem solving versus using problem solving as a teaching strategy. In terms of teaching problem solving, we can divide this into teaching for problem solving or teaching about problem solving. When we're teaching for problem solving, we look at the concepts and the skills that children need to know before they can engage in problem solving. When we teach about problem solving, we teach about the process that is involved in problem solving, as opposed to using problem solving as a teaching strategy. When we use problem solving as an actual teaching strategy, children engage in problem solving. You first have to explain what it is that you're wanting the children to learn. Then you have to go on and explain why it is that you are using problems as a way to teach. And then also you need to explain how you expect the children to interact with you and with one another as they learn. In this way, the children are actually going to be learning through problem solving. It is important at this stage that you emphasize that the students are here to learn about the subject, not just how to learn how to solve problems. So in this way, we are using problem solving in order to teach the subject that children are learning. The benefit of using problem solving as a teaching strategy is that it helps to expand learners' knowledge and their depth of understanding of the content, and also to develop thinking skills and encourage metacognition. I'm hoping by now you're familiar with the word metacognition. I'm assuming in the past you've looked at things like meta-language, which is really thinking about language. In the same way, metacognition is thinking about thinking. So it's thinking about the thought processes. And the real importance here is that it helps children to actually gauge their learning by becoming aware of the thinking that is involved and by being able to track their understanding. There's a pretty good chance that you've heard this scenario or been involved in it, where a child goes to a teacher at the end of a lesson and says to them, "I didn't understand." And the teacher says, "Well, what didn't you understand?" And the child replies, "Everything." Now, we know that it's not true, that the child didn't understand anything at all. But usually in that situation, the teacher explodes. "Why didn't you stop me? Why are you only coming to me now?" But the problem is not that the child didn't understand any of it. The problem is that the child was not tracking when they lost understanding. And because of that, by the time they realized that they didn't understand, it was too late, and often they actually feel a little bit embarrassed to then say to the teacher, "Sorry, I don't understand." At the end of the day, it is a bit of a balancing act, because in order to be able to use problem solving as a teaching strategy, you first have to teach children how to use the problem solving. So we actually have to teach problem solving, and then we're only able to use problem solving thereafter. When children engage in problem solving in the classroom, they're going to need your help and your support to get through this process. Now, you're going to look at this in a lot more detail, either with your lecturer or through your own readings, but I'm just going to quickly sum up pretty much what your job is in order to support what the children need to do. So, the children are going to need to be able to analyze and clarify the problem. They're also going to have to generate ideas and solutions. And then on top of this, they're going to need to evaluate those solutions to decide which of the solutions they may have come up with are the ones that they would actually choose to engage in. Through this, children learn a variety of skills. They learn to identify precisely what the real problem is by focusing on the key information. They decide on a strategy for solving the problem. They identify appropriate sources of information. They evaluate the information for possible errors or bias. They distinguish facts from opinions. They analyze information in depth. They reach conclusions and they make generalizations. They develop convincing arguments and they present results so that they are meaningful to others. And then they reflect on their problem-solving strategies. So basically, in summary, what we're wanting to happen is we're wanting our children to engage in higher order thinking processes. And if you're familiar with Bloom's taxonomy, which I'm sure you are by now, you will know that creativity and evaluation, those all sit at the top of that hierarchy. So we are helping our children to engage in the ultimate in higher order thinking. There are some really wonderful resources that you can explore with regard to creativity and problem solving. The Bay Area Discovery Museum has put together a whole stack of stuff, which was such fun to have a look through, and I'm really keen to try it with my kids. In addition to that, the University of New England has put together a list of over 50 problem-solving strategies that you can try out. I don't think all of them are suited to the foundation phase classroom, but maybe some of them are suited to your life as well. Well done! You have almost finished the first unit. So once you've finished going through your lectures and done the activities, you'll be on your way to exploring the role of the teacher in problem solving.